Now you're a new Tasmanian, Mick, aren't you?
I am.
Haven't been here that long, so I expect the old road culture has hit you a bit, hasn't it? You know, like the difference in the way people drive here, the way they drive in the UK and Europe.
It's certainly different here. There's not much road rage, hardly any at all. But the standard of driving overall is pretty poor, I would say. Roadcraft is very, very lacking.
So you don't reckon there's the very high standards at all?
Not really, no.
I think I'll probably tend to agree with you. I think even using the word standard is a bit strong, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Now, I know we don't have peak hour as such, but when you want to get somewhere quickly at, between the hours of 7:30 and 9 o'clock in the morning and 4:30 and 5 o'clock on the way home, I have a theory, Bob.
Let's hear it.
I think at a government level, at local, state and federal government, there's someone out there being paid to drive around in a really stupid fashion, slow, is being paid by the government. They have a whole group of people that said, right, you go out and disrupt the traffic flow. There are people that should not be out at 8:30 on a Monday morning. Got no reason to be out there. Either they're old or they're young.
Wait a minute. You can't bloody stop old people from going out the road. I mean, you can be grumpy, but you don't have to be bloody adult Hitler.
8:30 in the morning, unless you're going to see the doctor, what the fuck are you doing driving around while I'm trying to get to work? You're old. You don't need to be out. You can go to the shops at 10 o'clock. It's only an extra couple of hours. For fuck's sake, piss off and let me drive to work in comfort. And the same going home. And I know who you are, and I'll fucking get you.
And it's the same thing of letting people in.
Yeah.
Do they let people in here?
No.
Like changing lane is like an affront to them, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, you're a courteous driver, Keith. You find the same as me. When you offer to let someone in, what happens?
They sit there like a stunned mallet, don't
they? They do. They can't believe that you've let
them out. No, they sit there like a stunned mallet, and I've lost count how many times these people look at you, and they look you right in the eyes, and you say like that, and they go, I'm stunned by it.
And there's not that courtesy there, is there? You know, when you do let people in, they don't say thank you or anything like that. Some of them do, not very often. But it's not very often. Whereas what I'm used to, it's a bit unusual for someone not to acknowledge.
What about the Tasmanian disease? You know,
I know what you're
you know the one. You know the Tasmanian disease.
Yeah.
You know, you get these pricks, and they're driving up, say, the Midlands Highway on the single road, and they got single lane, and they're up there and they're doing 90, 95.
Yeah.
And you see the sign come up, overtaking lane 3 kilometres, and they gradually put their foot down, and they might start doing 96, 97, gradually just touching the. And as soon as you hit that overtaking lane, woof, they're off 120. Yeah.
And then what do they do at the other end?
And slow right down again.
That's right.
But everybody does it, even truck drivers who should know better.
Yeah, professional drivers, Keith.
Professional drivers
should know better.
It's a disease, and somebody should slap someone about it, shouldn't they?
Right, I want to just have one little go. I mean, it's a chestnut, this business about driving and, the merging lanes and all that sort of stuff. But one thing that really pisses me right off with Tasmanian drivers, and believe me, it is us, it is Tasmanian, is this desire not to have anybody in front of you at any cost. Now, you can be travelling along at 90 k's and then somebody has the audacity to be doing the speed limit of 100 and they're about to pass you. This is not on. Boom, down goes the boot, they're 110. Then, of course, as soon as they're out of that lane, back off the pedal and back to 90, respectable driver. There is some sort of possession that occurs in Tasmania. Demonic possession. I'm serious.
Well, not possession of I own that bit of road, get away from that's my bit.
No, you watch. People can't stand anybody in front of them. In Tasmania, it's queer. They're queer.
What about the so-called overtaking lane?
Oh, yeah.
On a normal road, like take the Southern Outlet, for instance, is a 2-lane highway both ways, and people seem to think that they can go down the right-hand lane at the speed limit, despite the signs that say the right-hand lane is for overtaking only, and you should drive on the left, and that's the way I've always been taught. Only use the right-hand lane when you want to pass someone.
There's no point in having road signs. There's no point of it because people just ignore them.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
They do.
totally ignore them.
The number one that seems to cause a lot of problems in Tasmania is roundabouts.
Well, they're a relatively new thing. They've only been here for 20 years.
Yes, it's been in the news lately, hasn't it, Keith?
They're a joke. They're a joke.
Yeah, there was an article in the local paper and from a senior Tasmanian driver who was talking about the road rules associated with small roundabouts and the road rules associated with large roundabouts. Now, I always thought that a roundabout was a roundabout and the rules were always the same.
Yeah, but you've got to allow for something there, though.
Like what?
He's a muppet, isn't he? Obviously. Eh?
Yeah.
It never ceases to amaze me. You go to the roundabout, somebody indicates right, and they go straight on.
Yeah.
And the amount of people that do it, and I think, what on earth? And they just sail around like that.
Well, when I read that letter about the big roundabouts and small roundabouts, I got my copy of the Tasmanian road rules out, and I can't find
see
any.
nothing.
I don't know what the fuck he's on about. Do you?
No, I don't.
Roundabouts. Now, I never know which way to go on the roundabout. If you're going to Sorel, it says straight ahead. But if you go straight ahead, some bugger that's going into Hobart, he bips the horn on you. And teenage female drivers in small cars, why do they pass me all the time? I mean, I'm not a slow driver, but they drive me nuts.
Have you ever had this experience? You come to an intersection and you're waiting to cross. You've got traffic coming on both sides of the road. You look one way and it's all clear, and you look one way and there's a car coming. So you decide, okay, I'll just let him get past and then I'll get across. And he comes and he gets closer and closer, and at the very last minute he puts his indicator on and turns into the very street that you're trying to get out of. But by then, as you try to pull out, the traffic's all built up coming the other way. Now, if that dickhead had only, couple of 100 yards along, just switch his indicator on to tell you that he's going to turn into your street that you're trying to get out of, you could have got across the road. But they don't do it.
I really arc up at these selfish, thoughtless, bloody drivers who you pull up behind them at the traffic lights, the traffic light is red, you pull up behind them, you expect them to go straight ahead. When the lights go green, they put on their bloody indicator to turn right. So you're stuck there, they're in the middle of the intersection, all the oncoming traffic comes through, the light turns orange again, they sneak through and you're stuck on another red light for another change of the traffic lights. Really pisses me off. Now, I have daydreams about this. I fantasise about following one of these wallies with an axe, waiting till they stop, get out of my car and smash the shit out of their indicator and say, "Oi, cock, your indicator's not working." You say, "Well, it was before you smashed it." I say, "Well, it wasn't working down at that fucking intersection, wanker."
And of course, the other bugbear is you pull up to a set of traffic lights, and you're waiting for them to change, and you just happen to be, say, in the outside lane. If you had thought clearly, you could have gone through on the inside lane, but this guy in front obviously is going to go straight ahead. And then at the last minute, the lights change. He puts his indicator on, and he's going to turn across the street and go down. But in that case, the light, all the traffic's coming the other way. So you've got to sit there, and by the time he manages to get across, the lights have turned red again.
Let me ask the question, why do people, doesn't matter what sort of car you drive, I mean, you might drive a black SLK Mercedes with radar plates. That's not pretentious. Hello. But why is it in Tasmania, and this is uniquely Tasmanian, why is it when people get to a green light they stop, and on a red light they put their indicator on and they fucking go? That doesn't shit me at all. Hello.
I mean, the other day I went through an orange light. Fair enough. It was one of those things that the light just changed. Do you stop? Don't you stop? It's raining. You try to stop, you're going to end up in the middle of the intersection sideways. So you go through it. This young copper on a motorbike pulls me over. Now, look at this kid. Not old enough to shave. I had to check out his police bike to make sure it didn't have training wheels. And he said, "You went through an orange light?" I said, yes, I did, mate. I went through an orange light. It was not safe to stop. He said, "Well, it was red as you went through this." I said, no, definitely didn't turn red. It was orange. He said, "I saw it was red." I said, "Yeah, that's because you were following me. You went through a red light. I think that's illegal under these circumstances." Then he let me off with a warning. Duh.
What else gives me the shits? Let me tell you why every 10 days, I swear to God this is true, every 10 days I get pulled over in the pocket rocket, alias pussy puller, I get pulled over, blowing the bag every time, 000. Boy, does that give the pigs, the police the shits. They hate that. Every 10 days I get picked up religiously. It's not good. It's harassment, but hey, how do I prove it?
Cycle lanes.
Yes.
Cycle lanes, they've gone berserk with them.
Yes, providing dedicated lanes for the people that don't pay fuck all towards the roads or to anything, and yet they're getting their own little cycle lane.
Got a third of the road.
Yeah, and in Campbell Street in Hobart, they've even painted parts of it green. Now, you're hard pressed to get ordinary road markings put down on the roads in Tasmania, but they've always got plenty of paint for the fucking cycle lanes, haven't they?
Exactly. I'll give you a challenge. You ever seen anybody in them?
No.
I've never seen a cyclist. I drive down there all the time. I've never seen anybody in them.
I've almost never seen a cyclist in a cycle lane.
Unreal.
And what about the traffic lights? When you do see a cyclist, do they obey the traffic lights?
Well, of course they don't.
Do they fuck?
Do they? Of course they don't.
Definitely
Of course they don't. They're supposed to.
Yeah.
They're supposed to.
Yeah.
And if they come and scratch your car,
Yeah.
have they got insurance?
No insurance,
Have they
no.
bugger all?
No.
And some of those bikes can get up to 70 mile an hour or 70 kilometres an hour these days. You get one of them trolling the walls and smack it to the side door of your car. Who's got to pay?
Yeah. Muggins.
Yeah.
The Muggins driver.
Every
as
time.
usual.
Cyclists, get them off the road.
Yes.
You know,
Or make them pay
Yeah,
anyway.
well, at least make them pay.
Register them.
Yeah,
Make them insure themselves.
Yep.
Fair enough.
exactly. And take a test.
Yeah.
Take a test.
Yes.
Because it's a dangerous place these days, the roads.
Yeah. And pay $86 for a licence. Like you do.
Exactly.
Cycle lanes, if you tried that one in North Hobart, now I go up there at least twice every week. I've never seen a cyclist in the cycle lane. Where do the cyclists go? Are they driving in the car lanes or where are they? I haven't seen any yet.
You know, the trouble is, politicians now are so piss weak, it's all about political correctness.
And minorities.
Now, I'll give you a bloody point in fact. Those stupid bloody cycling lanes. Now, come on. I went up Argyle Street the other day. There was two cars, me and another one. Nothing, right? Not a sign. And here's this bloody cycling lane. You seen it up there, Argyle? Yeah, down in Campbell, all the rest of it. I mean, come on. Well, first of all, I don't pay anything. Not a cent. Now, I know the argument will come back, oh yeah, they've got cars too. Well, get in a friggin' car then.
Is it any coincidence those cycling lanes are painted green? One of your great cycling nations is Holland.
Well,
And-
nothing else to do there.
No, it's flat.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
A bike's good when it's flat. Even grumpy old men can get on a bike. Get
Drive
there.
to the dike. You want to drive to the dike?
No,
You're right, are you?
right
Right.
at the moment.
Okay.
Hobart, Tasmania. Topographically, it's unsuitable for the bike.
Yeah, unless you're a real enthusiast and a masochist.
Exactly. And the thing about your bike lane is, the thing about you've got a bike, you've got a cycleway that goes from Claremont right into town. And who's on it?
No one.
Skaters and people with their dogs. And I saw a dog the other day, an owner with a dog, and the dog was crapping underneath the sign which said no dogs.
Should have said no crapping, really.
Yeah, we just said there that you don't see anybody in the cycle lanes. I'll tell you somewhere else you don't see people at all. You don't see cars.
Yeah.
Disabled car park spots.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of them. Is there that many disabled people in the state?
Well, I don't know. I did hear a figure once that, in fact, there was about 3,000 disabled car drivers in Tasmania, and they've got 14,000 fucking disabled car park spaces for them. You know, and everywhere you never see anybody in them. You never see anybody in them. Use them if you're going to use them. Why don't they let young mothers use them? Who've got to get their kids out. Instead of having to wheel their kids all the way through dangerous car parks and stuff like that. If there's nobody in the disabled spot, get in there and use it.
It's only right. Yeah, that's a good idea. Good idea.
In the last 2 years, has anybody tried to get, and I'm sure you have, has anybody tried to get a park in fucking Hobart? It's a fact. It was in the Mercury yesterday. Now let me tell you, if it's in the Mercury, it's got to be true. Give me a break. Isn't that true? Yeah. It's a fact. It is harder within a 1k radius in Hobart to get a park than what it is in Sydney. That is a fact. Does that give me the shits? Abso-fucking-lutely.
We were fortunate enough to get the services of Eric Byrne for this DVD, weren't we?
Yes.
And of course, everybody knows that movies are dear to Eric's heart. I think he's got about 20,000 films in his basement or something like that.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, what do you think about modern films, Mick? I mean, I've got my view on modern films, and I find it very, very difficult now. If there's 3 or 4 films come out a year that I really want to see, I'm lucky, I think.
Well, we still go to the cinema occasionally, but we have to really choose our films, because nowadays films, I like a film that has a beginning, a middle and an end, and it lays the story out and it moves to an end. Whereas nowadays
Plus a bit of speaking.
Yeah. Yes. But nowadays it seems that films, they've got to try and be fast, with dozens of cuts to loads of different scenes. It's chasing people around all the time, 1,000 mile an hour all the time, and you wonder where the story's gone, where the narrative has gone of the film. It seems to have disappeared.
Well, the last 2 James Bond films are a classic example. They ain't James Bond films.
No.
They're chase scenes.
No, I remember going to see Thunderball when I was a kid, and I got in underage, and I was absolutely gobsmacked by the film. What a fantastic film, and I can still watch it today. But I never watched the new Bond films, because all it is just they just stumble from one chase to another and one fight to another. There's no in between anymore, is there?
No.
Yeah, well, in answer to what Mick was saying about beginnings, middles and ends and everything like that, yeah, I agree with him. Although the very famous, unjustifiably so in my book, French New Wave director Jean-Luc Godard once famously said that every movie should have a beginning, a middle and an end, but not necessarily in that order. So that's why if you watch his movies, for me anyway, if you watch his movies, not only are they virtually incomprehensible, but they're also downright boring.
I tend to agree about modern movies. It's all in your face. There's nothing you can think about, like a storyline where you sit there and you actually watch people act. It's all bloody explosions and...
Yeah, not in all movies though. What do you mean, explosions and action and...
Yeah.
I like that.
What's the point?
I watched that film Watchmen. Now, I like to think I've been about a bit. You know, I like to think I'm sort of well versed in what's going on around the world. I've never even heard of them. I've never even heard of these Watchmen, and I'm watching this film, which goes on for nearly 3 hours, I think it was. And it was only the last 15 minutes of the film that they actually said what the film was about.
Yeah. I
hadn't a clue. Like you said, there was 1,000,001 cutscenes in it, right the way through the whole film. And at the end, they said, well, this is what the plot is. What?
It makes you wonder with some of these
I'm glad I downloaded it. You know?
If you get someone in the cinema who's epileptic and they're watching these, and there's all these scenes like this, it could trigger a fit.
Yeah, well, no, I've got to make you right.
Of course, there's a lot of conjecture about today's films. You know, it's all action movies. There's no good movies. You know, with a plot, a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
You got to look to your great period of British cinema in the 60s. Carry On movies.
Carry On movies.
Yeah. Mate. That was the pinnacle of your British cinema right there.
Well, of course, it was only beaten by Police Academy, wasn't it?
Now you're up in the stakes, Bobby.
Let me tell you, only last week I saw Robin Hood. Rave reviews. Let me tell you, pig's ass. It was spot the pom. It's a bit like being in Melbourne, spot the Aussie. You got them. I mean, we're talking Asians a go-go here, and Robin Hood and Maid Marian, he never touched her. Kate Blanchett never mounted Kate, and Kate is very upset. Robin Hood, how many stars? Zip!
I have to say, Keith has got a very good rule of thumb for a film. I didn't believe him at first, but come on, Keith, tell us what it is.
My rule of thumb is that if a film has got more than 5 words in the title, it's going to be shit.
Yeah. Now, Keith told me this some time ago, and I sort of didn't quite believe him. So what I did a bit of research. I looked at all the films that have won Oscars right from when its inception. And there is the odd one there, but overall, Keith's right. You know, you don't get many films with more than 5 words in the title.
And like I say, if they are, they're going to be a shit film.
Yeah.
See where you're coming at. I mean, the smaller the name, the more it'll fit nicely onto a marquee and the rest of it, and it cuts down on advertising and everything like that. But, you know, I can name you dozens of great movies that have got a lot more than 5 words in the title. I mean, I jotted a few of them down, you know. For example, say, what about the Lord of the Rings trilogy for a start? I mean, you know, they've got really long names.
I put on it was funny enough, it was only last night. We got one of the old James Bond films, and we put that on. And the amount of menu titles you've got to go through, ads on the disc that, you know, and they are ads, Dolby surround sound, advertising themselves and all of that type of stuff, and you cannot fast forward it.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
You cannot get past it. And they wonder why people are ripping these DVDs. So all I want to do is push it in the machine, push a button and play the bloody film. I do not want all this crap and shit.
Charge the Light Brigade.
I'm sure viewers will realise this, that if they've bought a DVD lately and they want to watch the film, they have to sit through all the films, all the upcoming films that they want to advertise, and you can't fast forward, you can't go out of that.
No.
Man Who Shot Liberty Valance.
And
It's like being forced into watching Pearl and Dean.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Also, I have to go along with you know, what you were talking about with DVDs that have these locked-in trailers of promos that you know, that there's no way in the world you can skip. You try to skip through them and everything like that. It says this invalid. This operation doesn't work. So you have to sit through anything up to 10 minutes of trailers and promos and everything like that before you actually get to the movie. You know, so that really bugs me. But
I have to laugh. Eric Byrne on about DVDs.
Why?
Oh, well, when I say I have to laugh, I agree with Eric 100%. When you open up a DVD, you get all this garbage, you can't go through it. What pisses me off, it goes, this is prohibited. And I think, who the bloody hell are you? I bought the DVD, it's my bloody television, and you're telling me it's illegal. Well, you same with computers, you know, this is an illegal operation. Shit, you know, I mean, what a stupid setup. The point is, it's the old con trick, you see. It's like you're going to be compelled to watch something, whether you like it or not, baby.
in the heat of the night.
The film industry, the music industry, they've been doing the same old stuff, the same old crap for years and years. Piracy is on the increase. So they must be doing something wrong, mustn't they?
Yes.
They must, and they can't see it. All they're blaming is the piracy industry instead of getting their act together. You know, we know that they're selling films, legal films, in China for $1 each.
Yes.
$1 each. They're selling them in China, legal films that these people are doing, and yet they're coming to you and saying, "Oh, Mr. Dennis, you're working. You know, you live in a Western society. I want $39 for that. Thank you very much."
Yeah.
The good, the bad and the ugly.
It's all wrong.
It is.
And they did it as well in China to try and stop piracy with Windows XP, didn't they?
Exactly.
Operating system.
Yeah.
$1.
$1, and Microsoft Office, they've tried to do it. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, we see that going on here.
Yeah.
You know, we say, what's going on?
Yeah, yeah.
Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
If you're a law-abiding citizen working, all they want to do is squeeze as much dollar out of you as they can, aren't they?
Because all we're asking for is a fair shake.
That's right.
And we're not getting that.
A fair suck of the sausage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Is that an Aussie saying?
That's right, yeah.
Trailers for movies these days are really so bad. I mean, the ones that don't give you the whole plot, you know, if it's a thriller or something like that, I mean, you can usually pick who the killer is just from watching the trailer. The comedies, and you look and you say, that looks quite funny actually, and you go and you find out that you have seen the 5 or 6 funniest bits in the movie, and you've seen it in the trailer, and nothing else is funny. They've got nothing else to offer you. So they give you the 5 funny bits in 2 or 3 minutes, and then they expect you to go and pay your money out, and then you realise you've been conned. But the other thing that really annoys me are a lot of some of the modern movies that come out on DVD that refuse to provide subtitles, particularly when they have incoherent and sometimes unintelligible soundtracks, you know, particularly a lot of these gang movies and everything like that, where and they're all these guys running around and they're mumbling incoherently. And at least with the soundtrack, you get an idea of what they're talking about, you know. But half the DVDs now, you know, a lot of them anyway, you know, have this sort of really hard to understand muffled soundtrack, and you know, particularly when there's heavy gunfire, crashes and all that sort of stuff going on in the background, you can't make out a word of what they're saying. So and that's when just occasionally it comes in very, very handy. You can just slip the subtitle on. Oh yeah, that's what he was talking about. It might be rubbish, but they usually are. But at least you can understand, you know, what they're supposed to be saying. Although in some cases, I suppose, in a lot of the modern movies, their dialogue is so bad that you're probably better off not knowing what they're saying anyway, you know, because it's just junk, you know, sort of bad writing. Political correctness, yeah, the two words that I hate most in the English language is political correctness, you know, sort of, you know, not being allowed to call a dwarf a dwarf, you know, you've got to say vertically challenged, or, you know, you can't say blind, you've got to say, you know, sort of, you know, optically impaired or something like that. And of course, with movies, I really hate these female stars that insist on calling themselves actors, you know. You know, they refuse to, it's demeaning to call themselves actress. So, you know, I don't, why do the Academy Awards then have Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress? I mean, if it's so important, surely the Academy then should change it to Best Female Actor or something. But they don't. I mean, it's Best Actress, it's always been Best Actress. Stuff them, you know, sort of give me a break, you know, it's a Best Actor, you know, crazy.
When did it start?
You're talking about the Americanisation of youth, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Did it start after World War II with the, you know, the Lucky Strike and the nylon stockings and the chocolate bars?
Brady Bunch, I think.
The Brady, the poor little muppets. You can't bloody blame them.
No, it is so infuriating to hear kids talk like Americans, and they do. I mean, Z, they all pronounce it Z now. It's not Z, it's Z.
Z?
Yeah, Z. XYZ. You ask them. They're leaving. Hats back to front. The trousers that they've got you can't see their bloody shoes. They've got the whole leg of the trousers walking in front of them. Like, that used to be in a cartoon once, and you used to piss yourself laughing at some idiot that walked. Now they all walk like that. They've all got the sloppy gear, and their arms, their heads. You don't see their heads.
No.
It's down here somewhere.
That's right.
Hanging down there.
You know, Sesame Street's got a lot to answer for. A whole generation of kids are coming through now thinking those stripy little animals that come from Africa are called zebras. That's because of the bloody alphabet and the way the Sesame Street teaches it. Z, it's not Z for heaven's sake. I mean, if it was Z, where does it leave you with words like zany, zero, zephyr, Zeppelin? Can you imagine a band called Led Zeppelin? They wouldn't have got off the ground.
I'll tell you what I want to talk about, Keith.
Yeah, go on.
Australian questionable cadences.
What the fuck's that?
It's something that's very...
Say that again.
Australian questioning cadences. Now what that is, something that's very prevalent in Australia, especially amongst young women. And I'll give you an example. If we say the sentence, I went down the road, a young woman would say, I went down the road?
Oh, that... your neighbour's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, no, sorry, now I'm with you. Yeah, go on.
Right, now it's got... Did you notice at the beginning I said Australian?
I did.
But it's not Australian.
Isn't it?
No.
Where's it from then? Don't tell me.
Go on.
The land of the free, is it?
Yeah. Like most of the shit that comes across to the UK, Europe and then Australia, the United States.
Oh.
And this is what gets me. The United States seems hell-bent on the bastardisation of the English language.
And because of the media, because of the internet, it's actually having this big effect around. You know, everybody's got this thing now. They're all talking like little Americans, you know.
Yeah.
And it just drives me round a bend. Yeah. I see newsreaders or TV presenters, and I know we've already mentioned them, but they say, coming up and being shown on January 1. Yeah. Hang on, it's the 1st of January. It's always been the 1st of January. Or January the 1st, not 1 January, January 1. I want to throw something at them, you know, I really do want to throw something at them.
And those other words creeping into our language, I mean, it's Australia, for heaven's sake, it's Australia, kids. We don't have trash, we have rubbish. We don't have sidewalks, we have fucking footpaths. And an icebox is a fridge. Get it right.
The ones I like is that, you know, this gangster rapper music, right? So you've got a whole race of Tasmanians and Australians that wear these bloody hoodies and they drive around in these cars with 29-inch chrome wheels, all these Japanese bloody imports. So no wonder you know, what happened to your good old Commodore with the lukey muffler and blokes drinking, you know,
Stubbies, as they drive, yeah, that's
long
good.
necks,
Yeah, right.
long necks.
Long necks, oh, yeah.
Talking of drink, Americans have taken over that as well.
Of course.
Bloody Jim Beam and Coke in those white tins. The middle always littered with them.
And it's hip hop culture.
Oh,
You know?
God.
Now, I can tell you now, there's no way I could be a rap singer. You know why? Because of my neck.
Go on.
Yeah, my neck. I couldn't stand there for hours and then going like that, you know, like because my neck wouldn't take it. I've got to get your hands up there and do that, and, you know.
What about wearing your trousers down here with...
Outside your underpants.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
And you've seen it now, they're walking around Hobart like it.
Yeah.
You got your baseball caps on back
On
the
the
front or down the side. They've got the arse hanging down their trousers.
And what about
you know,
sit
you know.
down as well, Keith?
Oh.
They've got to sit. They can't sit properly upright. They've got to sit down with their legs wide open. They've got to slouch in the chair like
With the bling on, they got, you know, but everybody's sort of getting on this bandwagon, and I thought, go away, you know, go away.
Yeah.
And you're seeing it's creeping in. You walk down Elizabeth Street Mall now, and it's creeping in.
Yeah.
And I think, oh, do me a favour.
Bastards can't spell. That's another thing that worries me. Colour, humour, behaviour, all without the U. They're either illiterate or lazy. I reckon it's the latter, don't you?
Well, and I'll tell you something else though. If you asked 90% of the kids in Australia to dial the emergency services, I bet they would all dial 911.
Yeah.
I guarantee they would dial 911.
I've seen that on the TV, on the news, and they were quite shocked. For the benefit of people that don't live in Australia, the emergency number here is 000. In the UK, it's 999.
As it should be.
Yeah. But in Australia, it's 000. But kids are walking around thinking it's 911.
I know. They're a joke.
Yeah.
A joke. Don't know what they're going to do when they have a fire in their house.
Yeah.
There'll be 911. There'll be, you know, they get some escort agency or something like that from Telecom.
And the other thing I really, really hate are those tossers who say absolutely when what they really mean is yes. There's something that really pisses me off, and that's people who use language that's really obtrusive, and they think they're so smart and so clever. I've got some examples of here. For example, if you're about to be fired, you don't need some jerk in human resources writing to tell you that it is no longer possible for existing employee-employer relationships to be sustained in the immediate future. I mean, why don't you just say, "You're sacked, you bastard"?